Hey everybody, it is John the Comic Guy, and yesterday I posted a short because Krista and I were out yard sailing and we picked up some great records in the wild. I got some Laura Nyro, I got some Marvin Gaye. However, two records in particular were actually stored incorrectly. So again, this was not all the same collection, but I picked and chose, and so the two records in question are really the Doors' greatest hits and Neil Young Harvest. They were bent, so you could tell they were just stored probably for decades improperly. And while it wasn't a hard fold, they weren't dog-eared, they were just bent, and they were bent pretty dramatically. So check out the short. I'm going to post a picture just so you could kind of see it and compare. And what I did is I already pressed the Doors' greatest hits cover, and it looks great, and you're going to see it. However, as I'm pulling it out of the press, I realized I should just show record fans how I press the record covers. So Neil Young Harvest is the one I'm actually going to demonstrate how I press it. And again, for you comic fans, just have an idea. These record covers are so much easier to press than comic books, right? Comic books, I think it takes a little bit of subtleties, some nuances, a little bit more skill. These record covers, it's easy. So for you record fans out there, check this out. If you get records in the wild and you see these covers bent, I'm telling you, they are so easily repaired, so easily fixed, and I'm going to show you how. So let's step over and look at my pressing process. So let's just take this particular album cover for an example. So this is, of course, Harvest from Neil Young. Other than that warpage, it's actually not in bad condition, but again, I got this at a yard sale. The record is in fine condition, but look at this cover. All right. So what I don't want to do is just force it to bend back. I could do that. I could do that with pressure. However, what I want to do is just like when you're ironing clothes, you want to relax the material. So how do you relax it? I just use a garment steamer. So as you're going to see here, I steam it. I'm applying steam. Just like with comic books, you're trying to relax the material, relax the paper, so it's not brittle. So I'm going to apply this. If it was a glossy cover, I would actually see condensation build up, and you could actually see that. Let's see. You see the moisture penetrating? So I'm going to do this a couple more minutes, and when it's ready, I'm going to show you how I press it. So this is going to take a little bit longer. I would say maybe about 1 or 2 minutes of me applying heavy moisture. I might even open up the cover. So okay, now you're going to be able to see it, the steam apply. Again, I'm just trying to relax the fibers of the paper. Relaxing the fibers of the paper. Get it nice up and close. So I'm going to do this a couple more minutes, and then I'm going to show you the actual pressing of this. So stay tuned. Now, before I actually start pressing the cover for Neil Young Harvest with that incredible warp, as you could see here, I just pulled out of the press the Doors' greatest hits. And as you can see from this picture here that I'm going to post, it was just as warped. So I actually got these two records together, but look at that. Now it's perfectly flat. And I only had to press it for about 3 hours. So it's unlike a comic book that I typically press books for between 4 hours and 24 hours. This is a standard press for t-shirts. I do this mostly with comic books. It says 135, but I actually use the laser monitor, and it's about 174. 175 degrees Fahrenheit seems to be great because that doesn't burn paper, and when I press it for several hours, it really presses out. Now, when you look at this, I just steamed it. Again, I used my steamer, and I turned it off, but I just steamed it for about 2 minutes. Already, even though it was very dog-eared, I have relaxed. It's still clearly warped, but I have relaxed the fibers, and I did it on here, just a little bit of wave. So I don't know how this is going to turn out. This is a gatefold cover. But again, the fibers of this paper have already relaxed. So you could see how we started and now how I'm going to press it. So what I'm going to do is press it face down simply because it's bowing that way a little bit. And I figure I'm going to let gravity work its way. So again, 135, but it's actually about 174, 175. So here's the press. I put aluminum plate on the bottom, so is heating from the bottom as well, because the heating element on a press is really only heated on top. So I could see I'm probably not going to get all of the bowing here, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Mostly it's from the cover. The cover where it's bowing is coming over the edge, maybe a millimeter, that's all. Okay, only about a millimeter, so it's mostly in the press. I don't want to press the spine, right? And I think that probably makes sense to you. I don't want to press the spine because if I do, it's going to kind of flatten out, and then why have the record information on the spine? So here it is. I'm going to carefully press it here. Now I'm going to set the timer for 2 minutes. Then I'm going to turn this off and let it sit for 4 or 5 hours. Tonight I'm going out to dinner, so it might be a 6-hour press, but it's not going to matter. If I opened it in 4 hours, it'll probably look good too, but you're going to actually see the result with me. Okay, let's pop open the press. And again, this could have easily been pressed out in like 3 or 4 hours. Actually, probably closer to 4 hours, but okay. So let's see how this looks. So, you know, it came out pretty darn flat, right? Okay, so everybody, I think that shows, and look, the back is a little flatter. It's not perfect, but certainly not as ripply as before, right? So you see how it shows. So that's really how you press a record cover. Doing the pressing for an album cover is quite simple. So if you're a comic person, when I say hydrating and pressing an album cover is so much easier. It's degrees of scale easier. So for the record people, if you have a bent cover, remember one, you want to hydrate it. How do you hydrate it? I just use the clothing steamers. You steam it for about 2, maybe 3 minutes. Go liberally. Water is not going to, steam is not going to hurt your record covers. So you steam it, you hydrate it, then in a preheated t-shirt press, right? I set it for about 174 degrees. I use that laser heat monitor for accuracy, about 174, 175 degrees. I use the Teflon sheets on the very bottom of your press. I use an aluminum sheet that I got from Home Depot. And sandwiched in the Teflon sheets, you put the album cover. I keep the spine out just a smidgen. No more than like a millimeter or a half a millimeter, but you just don't want to flatten that spine. So I put, wherever it's folding, I put that down so the cover kind of uses gravity. Flatten it in the press. Sealed in that press, in between the Teflon sheets, for about 2 to 3 minutes. You leave the heat on, and after that 2nd or 3rd minute, you turn it off. I've done this with glossy covers. I've done it with the cardboard flatter covers. There are even some specialty covers that are like sealed in plastic. Or it's almost like laminated, like the European covers for the original Beatles albums, some Elvis covers when they're older. They're like covered in a shiny plastic. It doesn't matter for me. I put it in there about 2 to 3 minutes with heat on. Then I turn the heat off, and then between 4 and 4.5 hours later, depending on if you have dinner like I did, then you could take it out and it's going to come out flat. By the way, when you're steaming your album cover, just like with comic books, I use distilled water, right? You just don't want remnants of water or any kind of the chemicals there. So I use distilled water. Besides that, that is it. If you guys have any specific questions about this, feel free to shoot me a comment, and you guys know I'll answer you pretty fast. So thank you so much for joining me. If you like this kind of content, this is album cover repair 101, right? If you have any questions and if you like this content, I would ask you to subscribe to this channel, and I thank you so much for joining.